Hey man, let's talk about something that might blow your mind. What if I told you that right now there are women out there who see you as different, special, in ways you don't even realize? See, most guys go through life thinking they're just ordinary, just another face in the crowd. But here's what I've learned after years of studying attraction psychology. Some men carry something rare, something that makes women stop and think, this guy, he's not like the others. And listen, this isn't about being the richest guy in the room or having movie star looks. This goes deeper than that. This is about the subtle signs, the unconscious behaviors that signal to women you're operating on a different level. You're the kind of man they remember, the kind they tell their friends about, the kind they actually respect. Today, we're breaking down the 5 undeniable signs that prove you're the man women think is special. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll know exactly where you stand. Because once you see these signs, you can't unsee them. And that's when everything clicks. Let's dive in. The first sign is that you don't chase validation, you create it. Here's something most guys never understand. Women can smell desperation from a mile away. They can sense when a man is fishing for compliments, seeking approval, or trying too hard to impress. But you operate differently. You ever notice how some guys walk into a room and immediately start performing? Telling stories, trying to make everyone laugh, seeking those nods of approval, those little hits of validation. But not you. When you speak, it's because you have something worth saying. Not because you need people to like what you're saying. And here's where it gets interesting. Women pick up on this instantly. They can tell the difference between a man who needs their approval and a man who's comfortable in his own skin. If you've ever had a woman seem more interested in you after you disagreed with her or called her out on something, that's this principle in action. Attractive men don't seek validation, they generate it. They're so secure in who they are that their confidence becomes magnetic. Other people, including women, start seeking their approval, not the other way around. So if you find yourself not caring whether people agree with you, if you can voice your opinion without needing everyone to nod along, my guy, you've got something special. The second sign is that women test you differently. Let's talk about something most men miss entirely. The way women test different types of men. See, every woman tests every man. It's biological. It's how they figure out what kind of man they're dealing with. But here's the thing. The tests change based on what they see in you. With most guys, women test for basic things. Can he handle pressure? Does he have a backbone? Will he stand up for himself? These are surface-level tests. But with you, they dig deeper. They test your character, your principles, your authentic self. Maybe she'll throw out a controversial opinion just to see how you respond. Not to see if you'll agree with her, but to see if you'll think for yourself. Or maybe she'll create a situation where you have to choose between what's easy and what's right. These aren't the same tests she gives to every guy. These are the tests reserved for men she sees as potential partners, not just potential fun. I remember talking to a woman who told me about 2 different guys she was dating. With one guy, she said she would test whether he'd pay for dinner, whether he'd open doors, basic stuff. But with the other guy, she tested whether he'd stand by his values even when it was uncomfortable. Whether he'd call her out when she was being unreasonable. She was testing for character, not just capability. If you've ever felt like a woman was pushing your buttons in ways that seemed almost too specific, too personal, she's not trying to annoy you. She's trying to figure out if you're the real deal. The third sign is that you have quiet influence. This one's subtle, but it's powerful. You know how some guys try to control every situation? They're loud, they're demanding, they need to be the center of attention. But you? You influence without forcing. Quiet influence is when people naturally defer to your judgment. When they ask for your opinion on important matters. When they trust your perspective even when it's different from theirs. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the voice people actually want to hear. Women especially are drawn to this type of influence because it signals leadership without arrogance. It shows them you're someone who can guide without controlling. Someone who can lead without dominating. And in a world full of men trying to prove themselves through force or volume, this quiet confidence stands out. You ever been in a group where everyone's arguing about something and people turn to you for the final word? Not because you demanded it, but because they respect your judgment. That's quiet influence. And women notice this immediately. They see how other people react to you and they want to understand why. Here's the thing about quiet influence. It can't be faked. It comes from genuine self-assurance, from knowing who you are and what you stand for. When you have this, women don't just see you as attractive. They see you as someone they can actually rely on. The fourth sign is that you're comfortable with your own darkness. Now, this might sound intense, but stay with me. Every man has a shadow side: anger, ambition, the capacity for aggression. Most guys either suppress this completely, trying to be nice all the time, or they let it control them, becoming aggressive or bitter. But you've learned to acknowledge your darkness without being controlled by it. You know you're capable of anger, but you choose when to use it. You understand your ambition, but you don't let it consume you. You recognize your competitive nature, but you don't let it make you petty. Women find this incredibly attractive because it signals emotional maturity and strength. They want a man who's dangerous but disciplined, powerful but controlled. It's the difference between a wild animal and a trained warrior. Both are dangerous, but only one can be trusted. This shows up in how you handle conflict. You don't avoid it like most nice guys do, but you don't escalate it unnecessarily either. You can be firm without being cruel, direct without being harsh. You've integrated your masculine energy in a way that's both attractive and safe. If you've ever had a woman tell you there's something intriguing about you, something she can't quite put her finger on, this might be it. She senses that depth, that complexity that makes you different from the predictable nice guys or the obvious bad boys. The fifth sign is that you make decisions from abundance, not scarcity. Here's where most men lose women. They make every decision from a place of fear. What if she leaves? What if I'm not good enough? What if this is my only chance? But you operate from a completely different mindset. When you make decisions about relationships, about career, about life, you're not thinking about what you might lose. You're thinking about what you want to build. This abundance mindset shows up in everything you do. You don't chase women because you need them. You pursue them because you want them in your life. You don't take jobs you hate because you're afraid of being unemployed. You make career moves that align with your values and goals. You don't stay in situations that don't serve you because you're scared of change. You make decisions based on what's best for your future self. Women can sense this immediately. They can tell the difference between a man who's choosing them and a man who's clinging to them. And guess which one they find more attractive? A man who chooses her from a place of abundance is infinitely more appealing than one who needs her from a place of scarcity. This abundance mindset also shows up in how you handle rejection. You don't take it personally because you know your worth isn't determined by any one person's opinion. You don't become bitter or resentful because you understand that not everyone is meant to be in your life. Here's something interesting about abundance thinking. It's not about having unlimited options. It's about knowing you can create options. It's about trusting in your ability to build the life you want, regardless of what anyone else does. Now here's where this gets really powerful. When you embody these 5 signs, you create something psychologists call the halo effect. Everything about you becomes more attractive because women see you as fundamentally different from other men. But here's what I want you to understand. These signs aren't just about attracting women. They're about becoming the kind of man you're meant to be. They're about developing genuine confidence, authentic strength, and real self-respect. See, the difference between a guy who's trying to be attractive and a guy who actually is attractive is that the second guy isn't doing it for women. He's doing it for himself. He's becoming the best version of himself because that's what he owes to his own life. When you stop chasing validation and start creating it, when you handle tests with grace, when you influence without force, when you embrace your complexity and make decisions from abundance, you don't just become more attractive to women. You become more attractive to life itself. Opportunities start showing up, people start respecting you differently, doors start opening that were closed before, because you're operating from a completely different energy than most men. Now, I want to address something important. If you're watching this and thinking, but I don't do all these things yet, that's okay. Recognition is the first step toward transformation. The fact that you can see these qualities means you can develop them. Start with one area. Maybe it's stopping the chase for validation. Maybe it's learning to make decisions from abundance. Pick one sign and focus on developing it genuinely. Not as a strategy to attract women, but as a way to become the man you're meant to be. Because here's the truth. Women don't fall for techniques or tricks. They fall for authentic masculine energy. They fall for men who've done the work on themselves, who've developed genuine confidence and self-respect, who've learned to be comfortable in their own skin regardless of who's watching. And listen, this isn't about perfection. None of us are perfect. We all have moments of doubt, times when we slip back into old patterns. But the difference is in how quickly you recognize it and get back on track. The man women think is special isn't special because he never struggles. He's special because of how he handles his struggles. He doesn't hide from his problems, he faces them. He doesn't make excuses, he takes responsibility. He doesn't blame others for his situation, he takes control of what he can control. So here's what I want you to do after watching this. Pay attention to yourself for the next week. Notice how you handle different situations. Do you seek validation or create it? Do you make decisions from fear or from abundance? Do you try to control others or do you influence through example? Awareness is everything. Once you start seeing these patterns, you can start changing them. And that's when your whole life shifts. That's when you stop being just another guy and start being the man women remember. The man they respect. The man they see as special. But remember, this isn't just about women. This is about you becoming the man you're capable of being. The man you deserve to be. The man who looks in the mirror and respects what he sees. Because at the end of the day, that's what real attraction is about. It's not about tricks or techniques. It's about becoming genuinely attractive as a human being. And when you do that, when you embody these qualities authentically, everything else falls into place. Women notice. Other men respect you. Opportunities appear. Because you're not just another guy trying to get by. You're a man who's committed to excellence in every area of his life. So take these signs seriously, not as a checklist to impress women, but as a blueprint for becoming the man you're meant to be. Because that man, the one who doesn't need anyone's approval, who makes decisions from abundance, who influences through character, that man is already inside you. He's just waiting for you to let him out. And when you do, trust me, the world will notice. Women will notice. But most importantly, you'll notice. And that's when everything changes. Thanks for watching. And remember, being special isn't about being perfect. It's about being authentic. It's about doing the work on yourself, not for others, but for you. Because you deserve to live as the best version of yourself. If this resonated with you, if you saw yourself in any of these signs, or if you're committed to developing them, let me know in the comments. I read every single one, and I'm always interested in hearing about your journey. Because we're all in this together. We're all working on becoming better men. And remember, the man women think is special isn't born that way. He's made that way through choices, decisions, and daily commitment to growth. So make the choice. Make the decision. And commit to the growth. Because that man, that special man, he's closer than you think.